Hi Bilal. So I welcome you to this platform and I congratulate you for converting Accenture. It's been successfully. You have completed, I believe, 3 to 4 months with Accenture. And with this platform, we intend to help the students with respect to the placement strategy, the details of the processes that are there, and the interview details that a particular individual should know before he or she signs up for Accenture. So moving on, we would like to go ahead with your small introduction. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Ankit, for having me on this platform. So, my name is Bilal Javed. Currently, I am working with Accenture as an IT consultant in the position of team lead. So it's been 3 months and Accenture has been really kind and the work culture is really good. Just to give a brief, so I did my engineering in 2016. Then I was with Infosys for around 3.5 years. Then I decided to do my MBA with IIM Nagpur.
Can you just briefly tell about the end-to-end process? What were the details, how many rounds and what all were the prerequisites for before your actual
So
process
our
began?
placement committee floated opportunity for Accenture. So around 5th of October, the company came in. We were asked to fill all the details, and there was a link on which we had to apply directly to Accenture. So you have to fill in all the basic details about yourself, about your qualification, and then around 10 days to give us a short list. So you'll receive a mail, like I received a mail in my inbox saying that I've completed the first step, and so I'm selected for the interview. And they also gave a meeting link and a date and a timing. So I remember my interview was scheduled for 17th of October. So you just have to join a room. So there will be a link for Accenture. You join that and you'll be in a waiting room for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then a link will pop up saying that, okay, you are in next 10 or 15 minutes, you'll have an interview. So I briefly was selected for 2 roles. So I was interviewed 3 times, but generally speaking, you will be for one role, you will be interviewed twice. So there will be a level 1 and a level 2 interview. So in the level 1 interview, so you can expect the interview to go anywhere between 10 to half an hour, 10 minutes to half an hour, the first interview. Then we had a second interview. So you have to wait for around half an hour or 1 hour. They give you some time to cool off. And then again, a pop-up will come saying that you are being invited to the second round of the interview. So after that, it will take around next 10 to 15 days to give an official confirmation that you are selected.
Moving ahead, we would like to understand what was your experience about interview one at Accenture, and was there any PPT before interview? So would you like to
So
just
before interview, I think if I remember correctly, 2 to 3 days back, we had a meeting. Not exactly, I won't say a company PPT, but we had a meeting with the Accenture folks, and they told us about how the environment is, and if anybody had any inhibitions or questions. So they were open to that. So it was a very brief, a short, I'll say half an hour to 1 hour interaction. Then our shortlist came. So I'll just start how it went for me. So my interview started, and if I remember correctly, it lasted for around 30-35 minutes easily. So it was so my suggestion before you go for any interview is go through the JDs thoroughly. Okay. So what I did was I went through the JD that I was shortlisted for. Then I went through that particular JD will somehow translate to a particular team in Accenture. And there you can look up about Accenture and what they particularly do and what is expected out of you. And some client stories and testimonials, take a look at them. That will help you. I'll tell you how they'll help you. So my interview started. So it generally starts, I think 80-90% is tell me something about yourself. So my suggestion is have two versions ready, a short version and a long version. So they were like, okay, just tell us something about yourself. So I started with a long version. I told them everything from where I belong, who is there in my family. So, and what is my work ex, what was my internship experience, how it went, why I left, everything. So after that, what they did is they have your resume open on their laptops. Okay. And when the Accenture interview is going, your screen is freezed. You can't search or, so that we have seen like in virtual interview people reading out things, so that is out of question for you. Okay, so that's why I said ki keep every point in the resume, whatever you have written, it should be by heart. You should know where it is written, why you have written. Okay, so it started with my work what I did. So I wrote few points. There were a lot of number crunching actually. So I wrote that I helped a client save few bucks. So I won't say how much. So they were like, okay, how you help them save this much, and what was your thought process? How did you get to that number actually? So even the numbers that you're writing, make sure you know how you arrived at that particular number. Okay, so I had to tell them the whole process. Okay, this is how it happened. I was working on some project, I got to see an anomaly, we corrected that as a team. And make sure you are putting in attributes like as a team, and not like I did it on my own, or so this shows that you're a team player. So you don't have to later on go and say कि अच्छा मैं तो team player हूँ, but you don't have any examples to tell them कि you're a team player. So make sure whatever attribute about yourself you are telling, you have an example to back that up. Okay, now moving ahead. So they went ahead with each and every pointer. Okay, how you did, why you did. Then there was also a question on which subjects you like. So I was particularly doing interested in, there was business process simulation. So they asked me what you did in business process simulation. So I also remember writing about a project in the, my resume, because that was something I was proud of. I did it. So they were like, it's a project mein kya kiya. So even though it was an academic project, what it was. So that I feel ki that impressed them ki acha, even though hypothetically I helped save some bucks for a company, but okay, you have that mindset. Then if the interviewer is like ki acha resume ho gaya hai tumhara, then he might go on ahead. So there were things like I wrote about agile, like I worked in agile scrum, and so he went on about that. So my interview moved in that direction a bit. So what agile scrum is, what was my role in that. So I wrote a point that I was, at a point working as a Scrum Master kind of a role. It was not exactly a Scrum Master. So they went on that, ki what a Scrum Master is, how did you, help the team, or how did you protect the team. So questions like that might pop up, but mostly it was based on my resume. And then from my work ex, I remember they moved on ahead to my SIP, what I did in my SIP. So it was a brief about my SIP, how I did, how I helped. Then there were a few questions on project. So so it also depends on the level you're interviewing for. So if you're interviewing from CL above, and so they might ask you a bit about how you'll select a project, based on what do you select a project. So they just wanted to hear the word IRR and NPV, so that you are aware of these terms. So they didn't go in depth. So, and also one thing I made sure to do was say no if I don't know an answer. I didn't be, I was not like beating around the bush. अच्छा सर ऐसा हो सकता है, अच्छा सर ऐसा हो सकता है. मेरे को नहीं आता था. I said कि सर मेरे को नहीं आता. They were like, ठीक है, moving on, next question. They'll ask you a next question. So what happens is if you keep on answering, they'll keep on going in depth, in depth, in depth, and there will be a point you won't know more than him, because the person sitting there has a 12, 15 years of experience. He knows more than you. And one thing I felt in my first interview I did wrong was I was too fast. So he would ask a question, I would answer. I was not taking any time to think. So he pointed that out to me and at the end कि यार मैं जो पूछ रहा हूँ तुम foreign answer दे दे रहे हो. Though it was right or wrong, it was not that. He wanted me to take some time and think and then answer. Luckily for me, I think the answers were right. But my suggestion would be ki, just say, ki, sir, can I have 5 seconds? So collect your thoughts and then speak. Collect your thoughts and then speak. Don't be, in that. So there is a adrenaline rush in you. You feel कि अच्छा फटाक से आंसर ये तो मुझे आता है, ये तो मुझे आता है. Even though if you think you know, I'll suggest कि 5 सेकंड लो फिर आंसर दो.
Would like to understand what all were the questions that were asked during the interview from you.
In the second round, again it started with tell me something about yourself, but this time around she was like, can you tell me something in brief? So I knew ki okay, chota wala apna jo prepare kiya, you have to give that one. So I gave a 2 to 3 minutes ka tell me something about yourself. Made sure ki family wala part I removed everything, and like concentrated mainly on my work ex and summer internship or any other achievements I had. If I wanted to direct her attention towards something, so I made sure he was point who I am emphasizing a lot, and tell me something about yourself. So again the interviewer started going through all the points, so she just went through all the points. So there was a point in my summer internship where I wrote ki I worked on RFPs. uh, so uh, so there are two things. So there is a request for information that is called RFI, and there is something called as RFP, and request for proposal. Okay, so when you look at the JD itself, so in my JD there was something written on the lines ki you might have to work on RFIs and RFPs for the client. So that matched somewhere. Okay, and also she asked me what I understood from the particular role I received. So basically she wanted to know how well I understood the JD. So that's why I told ki I'll tell you later why you should go, because interviewers many a times will ask you ki what you understood from the JD. So I think brief 1 minute discussion happened on the JD. Then she moved upon my resume and asked about RFPs. So she basically wanted to know what I used to do, how I used to create RFPs for the client. So basically an RFP is when uh, a project is coming in, not even coming in, you see ki someone is requesting you for a proposal ki there is a project and they need so and so things, so there will be a brief description ki what all they want, expecting from a vendor. So as a client, like as Accenture, you have to tell them, okay, this is all you will provide and why you are better. So you create a request for proposal. A proposal you will create and send it to the client saying, ki, okay, we want to be on board on this particular project. So that is an RFP. So you have to do a lot of market research and how you can make your company stand out from the other competitors. So that is what happens in an RFP. So like when you'll work for a company, you'll get to know more intricacies about RFPs, how it's actually done. But in a gist, this is what an RFP is. So she just wanted to know, okay, मैं फेंक तो नहीं रहा कि बस RFP लिख दिया क्योंकि JD में था. तो वैसा था कि so she just went, that discussion happened for around 4 or 5 minutes. Not 5 minutes, I'll say 2 to 3 minutes. 5 minutes तो बहुत हो जाता है. तो 2 to 3 minutes वो discussion हुआ कि क्या किया. अच्छा, market research, where you used to go for market research. कि मतलब we had some secondary data ready with us, or we used to Google, और primary data कहाँ से collect करते थे, वो सब था. तो that happened. Then During like when my interview was about to end, so in the last few minutes, she gave me a guesstimate. So there was a discussion where I told her ki there was a project that I did in BPS on coffee. So she wanted to know why I did it. So I just told her ki, okay, I'm a coffee aficionado and I want to, read about coffee and drink different kinds of coffee. So that went for a few while. Then she said ki, okay, since you like coffee so much, I am giving you a scenario कि there is a Starbucks. तो उसमें daily customer कितने आते हैं? मतलब तो कस्टमर कितने आते हैं से यू शी वांटेड टू नो कि रेवेन्यू कितना है सो देन शी एंडेड इट विद कि यू डू यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस
So Bilal, how did you like? What was your placement strategy? Like, what all did you prepare in order to like? There are many number of companies that are visiting campus, so there will definitely be a generic roadmap that you might have followed, right, for each and every company that is coming. So, what was your strategy? You would like to know?
तो फॉर मी my preparation like seriously I started कि जब fourth term starts तो उसके थोड़े दिन बाद I made sure कि I start my preparation because for us the companies are floated somewhere end of fourth term or starting of fifth term, so the companies will start coming in and I know कि मेरे को फिर fifth term में पढ़ाई का भी load है and I have to be prepare for that particular company. So I had to make sure कि मैं generic जितना है that I prepare well ahead. So what I did was कि basic जो आपका है कि that is tell me something about yourself. Okay. So सबसे पहले तो ये question अपना you write it down and create two versions of it. So I'll suggest कि एक छोटा version that will be around 1 to 2 minutes long, and then a longer version that goes beyond 2 minutes. कि 3 to 4 minutes you are able to speak about yourself, about your life in whole, है ना? तो वैसा रखो. फिर उसके बाद what I did was there like our prepcom and even our placement committee, what they did was they floated few of the questionnaires. So even like most of the colleges do that, and if you don't have that, what I'll suggest is go. There are many online resources available. I won't name any. You just have to Google ki generic HR questions. Okay, so you'll get 13 to 14 HR questions ka list. So make sure your HR questions are ready. This is the first thing that I did. फिर उसके बाद what I did was I spoke to my seniors. Talk to your seniors. So they'll give you a generic idea what type of companies are going to come in and what the interview process in general is going to be. So what I got to know was कि majorly it will be focused on your resume. Technical तभी जाएंगे when you have written some technical terms in your resume. है ना? तो मेरा जो था that was from a development background, so I worked for around 3.5 years in Infosys as a developer और that to mainframe developer. So मेरे को ये पता था कि mainframe के regarding कोई कंपनी आनी नहीं है, तो I made sure कि मैं अपने resume में से जितने भी technical terms हैं वो हटा दूं, how my work affected the business वो डालूं. ठीक है, तो ये तो तुम्हारा हो गया कि इंटरव्यू पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से मैंने बताया था. अब रेज्यूमे पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से आई स्टार्टेड वर्किंग की भाई आप अपने सीनियर से बात करो, डू सिट विद देम एंड डू सिट विद योर प्लेसमेंट कमिटी ऑल्सो बिकॉज दे नो अ लॉट, बिकॉज दे हैव सीन द रेज्यूमेस कैसे होते हैं, अच्छे रेज्यूमेस क्या होते हैं. So have someone to guide you कि अच्छा this is how you have to write a point, this is the point that you have to bold. And जो बहुत ही ज्यादा टेक्निकली अगर आपने कुछ लिखा है ना कि जो सिर्फ जार्गन्स में या फिर सिर्फ उसी इंडस्ट्री के लोगों को समझ जाएगा, ट्राई टू रिमूव दैट फ्रॉम योर रेज्यूमे. ट्राई टू पुट इट इन अ वे कि यूजिंग दैट पर्टिकुलर थिंग हाउ इट अफेक्टेड द बिजनेस. Okay, so like whenever a person is reading your resume points, so he should be able to answer the question so what. So there's a question that comes in, so what. So if let's suppose I have written ki I am fluent in BI, or like I know how to work in Power BI. So the question comes in, so what. So I helped a company save so much, or I created a dashboard for the CXOs. So this is what I did. So I So any point you write, make sure you are yourself able to answer that so what wala question.
Yes.
So if you follow this practice in resume, so what wala, your resume will be very good. So most of the time it will get shortlisted. And make sure you're highlighting the proper points for resume. ठीक है, अभी HR हो गया था मेरा, resume ये दो चीज मैंने अपना कर लिया अच्छे से. Then what I did was वो summer internship वाला सब ऐड कर दिया. Because you just come out of, तो मैंने वहां से चालू कर दिया था. तो वहां से I feel कि जब से you start adding your SIP वाला points, right, and refining it, वहां से your placement का process has started, your preparation has started. फिर guesstimates का I just told कि what there are many online resources that are available on guesstimates जो आपको बहुत in depth बता देंगे कि YouTube videos हैं, that will help you a lot. What I did was case-based interviews because there were many instances with my seniors जहाँ पे case-based interview हुए थे. So मेरे को भी situations दी थी in Accenture, but not a proper case कि पूरा number crunching करके मेरे को पूरा एक solution आना. There were situations given. So when you do a case-based interview का practice, right? So what happens is these situations are automatically covered for you. तो you don't have to worry a lot कि ये situation ऐसा पूछ लिया तो क्या होगा, क्योंकि when you do a case based interview तो वहां पे you ask questions, someone will provide you something, तो situations अपने आप बनती हैं. So I'll say कि look at some good case based interviews, online resources हैं, and there is a book called Case in Point. तो you should read हर टाइप का, मतलब there are many genres in that. Financial है, marketing है, और भी बाकी हैं, तो make sure you are reading those. तो आपको एक आइडिया मिल जाएगा कि किस टाइप का आ सकता है, and whatever is thrown to you, you at least know कि अच्छा तुम्हें डायरेक्शन किस डायरेक्शन में लेके जाना है उसको, so that you are able to have a good conversation with the interviewer. Okay. उसके बाद what I felt and जो मैंने एक्सपीरियंस था और सीनियर से बात करी, टेक्निकल बहुत ज्यादा नहीं था कि you just have to पूरा corporate finance, you have to read पूरा corporate finance. So I say कि अगर you have read your subjects with due diligence, तो जो terms हैं you should be familiar with all the MBA terms कि NPV क्या है, IRR क्या है, XIRR क्या है फॉर कॉर्पोरेट फाइनेंस का. तो फर्स्ट ईयर का जितना भी आपका 5Cs, पोर्टर 5 एनालिसिस, और जितने भी फ्रेमवर्क्स आपके थे स्ट्रेटेजी में, जितने फ्रेमवर्क्स हैं, तो वो मैं नहीं कह रहा लगाने आने चाहिए, आपको एटलीस्ट पता होना चाहिए, ताकि एक कन्वर्सेशन व्हेन द कन्वर्सेशन इज हैपनिंग, राइट, सो आप उसको ऐसा यू जस्ट यू नो थ्रो सम MBA jargons ताकि उसको लगे कि हाँ यू नो स्टफ. तो व्हाट आई डिड वाज कि स्ट्रेटेजी का थोड़ा पढ़ लिया, और मेरे को पता था आई एम नॉट लीन टुवर्ड्स फाइनेंस, तो मेरे को बहुत इन डेप्थ में फाइनेंस नहीं पढ़ना, डेरिवेशंस क्या है, कैसे हो रही है, मेरे को बस टर्म्स पता होने चाहिए क्या है. कि कोई प्रोजेक्ट अगर, जैसे देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन दैट द इंटरव्यूअर आस्क्ड, सी व्हेन हाउ विल यू डिसाइड कि आई शुड गो अहेड विद द प्रोजेक्ट और नॉट. So the answer was कि we'll look at the NPV and IRR of the project. If that is good, we'll go ahead. Okay. So what happens कि people कि सर ऐसा होगा, सर वैसा होगा, कि ROI अच्छा होगा. तो even I said कि सर ROI अगर मेरा return on investment अच्छा दिखेगा कि इतने % से above होगा, तो say I'll go with it. Then he said कि नहीं, in corporate finance terms में बताओ मेरे को. तो वैसा है. तो I'll say कि अपना due diligence on subjects करके रखो. You should know all the terms. मार्केटिंग का if you are lean towards marketing, but ऐसा नहीं है कि marketing आपको बाकी जगह help नहीं करेगा, right? तो you should know a bit about marketing as well for people who are like कि नहीं मेरे को जाना ही नहीं है marketing है, मेरे को तो finance में जाना है. So everything I feel in MBA is interlinked. तो थोड़ा बहुत subject wise वो देख लो, but अपना CV, HR interview, HR questions और guesstimate और case, ये इतना रेडी होना चाहिए. हाँ. और आई फील कि आप अगर कैट दे के आए हो तो आपका एप्टीट्यूड उस लेवल का है, आपको फिर से उतना इन डेप्थ में जाके एप्टीट्यूड करने की जरूरत नहीं है. बट इफ देयर वर फ्यू इंटरव्यूज जहाँ पे एप्टीट्यूड पहले हुआ था, So there were aptitude questions or aptitude tests that was happening, and then this happened, the interview.
Mm.
ठीक है?
Okay.
So इतना कर लो. I think this is more than enough for anyone.
Thanks a lot for investing your time with this video, and I'm pretty sure that this will benefit many of the students who are actually preparing for their placements. So once again, thank you, and maybe
Thank
in
you so
future.
much for having me,
Yes, yes,
and it
definitely.
was my pleasure. Anytime.
Yes, yes, yeah. Thank you.